Hello everyone, happy holidays. Okay, so here's gonna be, we're gonna do the wrap coat. Now this coat, let me tell you, and I will hardly edit this video because this one's for the pattern, mainly because if you want to attempt this from scratch in the design that I'm doing it, I want you to understand every step of the way how I do this. If you're a beginner or intermediate and you're still not at that level where you can make patterns from scratch or even decipher, because some of my pattern will come from diagrams from Pinterest, and I do have this one on Pinterest. It's in one, if you follow me, Egypt Machine 915 on Pinterest. This is in my sewing techniques album. It is public. So if you see this one, I am getting the basis for the front opening and the collar of my coat from this diagram, and then the rest of it I'll show you just how to do it from, you know, measurements matching this style on the diagram. So on the coat, it's going to have, as you can see here, this is the diagram for the front. So it will have some darts. This is all in centimeters, just to let you know. Sorry, excuse me, I'm like drying out. So we're gonna follow this diagram, how to make it. I do wanna have, you know, a lapel on it with a collar, and it's gonna be, there's no closure except for like, it's gonna be, like I said, like a wrap. So it will have like a long robe type, you know, string or whatever to close it to wrap, and it'll have long sleeves. But let's go ahead and get through this first. Like I said, I do apologize now. This is going to be a lengthy video, but I do want to get through every aspect of making this. I chose to do this on some gift wrapping paper for the front just because there's so many notations and things on it. I want you guys to be able to see clearly, and the back I'll just do on some newspaper because I do need to conserve this somewhat because I am still wrapping presents. So what you'll need for this style is this diagram for my sewing techniques folder on my Pinterest. And I'll have, again, if you forgot, my Pinterest is Egypt Machine 915. That's in the description down below. So we're gonna follow the collar on this diagram. You're also gonna need one of these little, what is this? That's not a protractor. One of these little rulers, yardstick with centimeters on it. Actually, this one has millimeters on it. Crap, it's okay, I'll convert it. And then I have a measuring tape as well that has centimeters. So no worries. Also, if you're wondering about the sizing, me and my mom are, because this is a present for my mom, me and my mom are about the same size. We're like a large, but further away from a medium, but not too close to an extra large. We're in this like weird halfway point between large and extra large. So I'm going to do my measurements. On my measurements, if you want to follow this, if you're kind of in the same boat as I am, my back measurement from shoulder to shoulder is 18, bust is 42, waist 34, hips, I'm just going to kind of leave it and blend it back out with my bust just because it's a wrap coat, like who cares. Length 45, because I think I will try and make this like asymmetrical, so probably the back will be the full 45, and then we'll just kind of mess with it in the front. But that's later when the thing's practically sewn. Sleeve length is 24. Armhole, which is around your arm at the top, is 21, and the bicep is 14. Just to make it nice and roomy, because again, it's a coat. It's not going to be really tight. And you don't want it to be, of course. You're going to wear the coat over long sleeve shirts and all that stuff. So let us look at this diagram just for a moment. As you can tell here, I don't know if you can see, but they vaguely kind of sketch out. There's some rectangles in here. There's a rectangle here, and then there's a rectangle that follows this. I don't know if you've seen some of my other videos where I show you how to make patterns from scratch, but I always say it's like taking a long rectangle, and then once you have a long rectangle, you start inserting your measurements, and you just start shaping within that rectangle or outside the rectangle if you're bigger than it. And then that's how you make a flat pattern. So for the front, let's go ahead and we'll do 30 for the front. So I'm gonna make a rectangle that's 30 inches long, okay? Because remember, I was just saying, I want it to be asymmetrical, so I want it to be a little bit shorter in the front and then blend out to that 45 in the back. And dear God, I hope my mother likes this thing because my mother is so hard to shop for. Oh, okay. So let's do that. 30 inches long. I will go back and forth between centimeters and inches only because the diagram goes with centimeters and then, you know. So I do apologize if that messes you up, but please do try and keep up with that. So let's start doing just that, okay. So 30 inches long. And then for this long side up here, I'm just gonna follow my back measurement, which is 18, and that's shoulder to shoulder. I'll probably end up sketching outside the back, but that's just gonna help me for now, just to create this rectangle. Ah, this table. Okay. Can you all see that? Here, let me try and redo this with this black. I can kind of see it in the screen of the camera, but maybe if I do black. And sorry if the black looks wavy, I'm not really gonna follow that. I'm gonna follow my brown line, but that's just so you can see the rectangle. Okay, I don't know, let me see. Can you see that? Okay, yeah, it's a little bit better. So this is what we're gonna start out with. Now, oh, I swear I've been sneezing way too much. Okay, so we'll start here. So on the diagram, we'll do this side with the armhole, and this will be like our center front, okay? So this will be center front. This line over here, so that way you don't get too confused. And sometimes it's good to label that, because if you have a pattern with a ton of pieces, you might get confused or waste time trying to look for them. So if you kind of label it the way the store ones are, it kind of helps you get along and not lose your train of thought. So up here in the corner, where the beginning of the sleeve is there's an outline here for 8 centimeters. And that's going to help us map out where the collar is. Not the lapel, but the collar. So let's, where am I? Where's my, oh, there it is. Let me get my measuring tape. So we got this rectangle. And then this armhole, and we'll kind of do the armhole really quick too. The armhole is going to be, since my armhole was 21, we're going to chop that in half, so it'll be 11. So we'll do 8 centimeters first, okay? And then we'll just mark it out where that is. So see that line way up there? Can't really see it. Let's see. Right here. That's 8 centimeters, okay? So while we're there, let us do the armhole. Do the armhole, and then we'll also move into the bust, because the bust is obviously going to come out a little bit, so we need to compensate and we need to already map that out. You'll see in a second. So let's switch back to centimeters for a second. We'll go to the top edge of our rectangle and come down to 11. Now this line may or may not move up, but that's when we map out our bust line in just a second. Normally the end of the armhole is aligned with the bust, so that's why. So there's a line right here, so that's already kind of the bust line. As you can see, that's the end of the armhole. And that's the inside seam right here. So, I don't like using that black marker, but I know you can see it best on this thing. Okay, so now that we have the end of our armhole, let's take a look at our bust measurement. So my bust for the large is 42. If we chop that in half, that's going to be 22, right? So let's make a line. Let's see. Well, let's make a half point line here at the top real quick. Remember, I do that sometimes. So right now, this is 18, because remember my back is 18, so we'll make a line at 9. And we'll just come down. Hold on. Let me also make a 9 over here, so that way I can match up the ruler. Okay. Hope you can see that median line right there. Think you can. Okay, so 22 we're looking for, right? So what's half of 22? 11. So we need to line up our median line on the 11 of this ruler. Here we are. Line everything up. Line it up with the end of your armhole. So this is how far out we're going to make our adjustment. Can you see that on the screen? So I'm going to keep coming back and forth just to make sure that everyone can see where all the markings are. So, you know what? Let me help you out just a tad bit more. See, now we have a quadrant. Now we have a quadrant. So I'll just label this so you can see everything. This is our bust line. That one right there. Now, again, I always say I procrastinate too much. I should own like one of those French pattern maker rulers. I should own one right now. And I swear to God, if I get a Joann's gift card or any gift card for Christmas, I will buy one. I promise to God I will buy one. But for now, what we're going to do is we want to try and blend the corner of this rectangle to where my bust line meets. And sometimes you can like use the ball of the inside of your wrist. It's kind of like that thing in the protractor that helps you kind of just stay stabilized and just move that. So can you see it? See that way up there? Okay. Let's see. And I'm just a little confused on this diagram. It has a 1 with a comma. Not really sure what that means. I don't know if that's even a comma. Maybe it's a period. It's the only thing with these diagrams. Sometimes whoever marks them by hand, it's not very clear. Okay, so 18 centimeters is 7 inches. To me, that's probably what this measurement is. Yeah, so I'm just gonna do it like that. So we'll do 7 inches. Let's do it flat across first. Or actually, this one doesn't even have, it does have a rise in it. Okay. So I'm gonna make the end where my 7 is, and then I'm just going to raise it to compensate, like on the shoulders, how they slope down this way. They're a little raised up here. And I always use this just as a guide. That's just what it seems to work out for me. So I'm gonna go up 1/2 inch right here, and then I'm just going to blend that with the edge of the shoulder. So that compensates now for a kind of a rise in that. And let me bring this all the way. See that? So that's what we're doing there. I'm looking at this diagram. Down here it's 20 centimeters. This looks like it's possibly 20 centimeters. So what I'm gonna do is, where's my thing? Let me see. Yeah, it's about right. So I'm gonna go from the bust line, I'm gonna go down 20 centimeters, and this will be our waistline. So I'm just gonna put a marking right here. I'm gonna make another line to help us stay level. Okay. We're gonna mark this waistline. Another thing I want to bring up, see how there's these dark lines right here? I'm going to skip that because I want to try and make this in all one piece, and that just cuts down on time, but I am going to be inserting darts in part of the front and the back. So just keep that in mind. These dark lines usually indicate a seam, so I would be sewing that together. But to save just time, really, we're just going to insert darts, and that'll be okay too. Remember, it's just a wrap coat. It's not supposed to be form-fitting. It's loose and just easy to wear. So that eliminates more seams. Now, now from here, it's showing us, there's like a square right here, and it does show this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down 8 centimeters again, just like on the side here. I'm going to go down 8 centimeters. Let me find all this ghetto stuff I have to work with. 8 centimeters, okay? From the top of where we elevated that shoulder, I'm just going to go 8 centimeters. And then I'm going to blend that line with where my 8 centimeters was up here. Let's look at that. Okay, so now I have this funky little rectangle way up here. And then it shows this in there. Okay, so that looks about right because this little weird triangular isosceles ruler fits in there, and there seems to be a little bit of space just like in the diagram. So I'm going to leave it at that. Then, let's see. Then, let's go over here. So, can you see this right here? From the waistline, it indicates Going up from the waistline up, there's 10 centimeters, and then that's when the beginning of the lapel starts. Because I'm noticing on this diagram, you see where we made our little protractor thing? There's a line that meets where that lapel starts, but we need to start where the 10 centimeters. So let's do that. So from the waistline, let's match out the 10 centimeters, okay? 10 centimeters up, it's not a lot, it's very little. That's about 4 inches. Okay? And then that line meets with this guy right here at the top of the elevation of the shoulders. So let's map out that line right now. So here's the top of our little triangle that we made, the 8 centimeters, just matching the corners with that 10 centimeter line for the lapel. See that line? Okay. So now, let's see. I'm just looking here. So this needs to be okay. I'm just trying to map out because there's a very faded line from the top of the shoulder that goes to where the lapel ends or starts way over here. So I'm just trying to, so if I put my little isosceles ruler here, I'm going to swivel the edge of my shoulder. See how I'm keeping the ruler there? I'm going to guesstimate that is on the 3 centimeter mark on my isosceles triangle, because I have it like this, and here's my 3 centimeters. So that's what I'm doing over here. Yes, pattern making can take forever, but believe me, you want to make all the mistakes on paper first and waste your time before you waste a very expensive piece of fabric. Even if you're doing it on muslin, it's just get it out of the way on paper first. I learned that the hard way, many years of trying to do it, and you do waste more time just trying to fix what's wrong on the actual piece of garment that you're working on than if you just took the time and did it right on the paper first. So that line that I did, if you can see it, there's a very faded line that goes from here to here. And right here is the beginning of the lapel, as you can see. So I have this line right now. Now so it's like kind of following a puzzle. So the lapel from where it began, see, this is the line of the original rectangle we made, and here's our intersection. At that intersection, we're going to go straight out 4.5 centimeters. So let's use this. And I'm going to have it perfectly aligned. 4.5 right here. You know what? I don't like that. That looks way too small for a lapel. I'm going to flip it back to inches here. Yeah, that looked way too small for a lapel. I'm gonna do 4 inches. I'm sorry, I'm gonna change that up. Because that just looks way too dainty. Like I want a big floppy lapel. Even though this is probably not as big and floppy as maybe I would like. It is bigger. And again, I'm making this for my mother. So I don't want to go like too wacky on her. Because like I said, she's already very picky as it is. So now at that end point where my lapel is, I'm going to connect the dots from here to the beginning where we did that 10 centimeter drawing, okay? So I'm gonna connect the dots from here to here. So see, there's that. That looks a little off, but that's okay. Remember, we're editing and editing. I would actually like that lapel to blend a little bit more because there's kind of a dip. Let's blend this just a little bit more. And I'm gonna go down. See, and this lapel also kind of bows out just slightly. So let's give it, and just blend it, just like that. And now that I do like that edit, so I'm gonna get a different marker. Because sometimes when I edit too much, I forget where exactly the actual cut line is gonna be. So I'm gonna get this black marker. Oh my gosh, like all my markers are going. Let's see, how about this highlighter? Better. Okay, so this highlighter will indicate the actual cut line of what I'm gonna do. So that way when I go to cut right now, you know, it just avoids confusion. And let me help you out here. So see, this was a line I just drew, but that looks too sharp. Like I don't want my lapel to look like that. I want it to look a little more smoothed out, so I just redid it. And that's what I mean by you just editing yourself. Because otherwise, if I left it that way, I think the lapel would have just been too jacket-like, which is, I think, what this is kind of like a blazer, obviously. So I want this to be more like a coat. So I'm going to elongate that line, as you saw. So that's what I like. Okay, now, let's see, where can we begin? I'm going to double check something. Because this is a little confusing right here. So I'm just going to cut this. Is what you can do. Oops, cut the wrong one. Sometimes if you're not sure, you can always cut the paper and then kind of fold it. So what would this constitute? So see, this is where I'm trying to figure it out. Because I need to know how far up to make this go up here for the collar, not the lapel. So from my funky little protractor, isosceles ruler, let's see. It says 3.5. Great, I'm gonna have to add a piece of paper. I hate that. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so like when I cut this on the fabric, that's what I was doing with the paper. I need to be able to swivel this, and that's how you make the collar. But it does have to be long enough to at least get to, you know, the other side of what you're doing. So let me just add a piece of paper. Should have started lower. Okay, where am I? Right here. And I just bought, oh no, I'll use masking tape, it's fine. God, water. I know, right? Get some water, Sarah. God, why don't you? Okay, so from the bottom of our little triangle with the ruler, we're gonna go up 18 inches, which is about 7 inches. So let's go up. Let me pull this down just a bit. Okay. So 18 is way up here. Oops. Okay. So that up there is 18 inches, okay? From here to here, 18 inches. Now, let me revert back to the diagram. And then there's a line that connects the beginning of our lapel down here. That's aligned with the waistline with our funky little triangle. Let's see if we can get this to line up. And if we need to move stuff around, then we'll move stuff around. Let's see. No, we'll leave that. I think because the sizing is different on this from the large, some of it's not in the same place, and that's okay. So let's do the top here. So up here would be the back of the collar. So it says here one is 3.5 or 4.5. Oh, I don't know if this person, see, it's a problem with this. I don't know if this person's commas are supposed to be periods. That is super confusing. So 3.5. Let me see. What is this? 3.5 and then 4.5. What is that? That's 3.5 inches. I hope they mean what that is. I'm gonna have to add paper again because I'm gonna have a large chunk over here. Totally fine. Okay. Where's my little isosceles? So here at the top of the diagram, if you're looking at it on your phone or computer, they do put it down here like this. And that's just to indicate, see how it slopes? So it connects the slope for you. So let's go 3 inches from, where is it? From the beginning here, okay? See this line right here? Let's extend it just a little bit because there's a line that'll help us keep it centered. So now let's put back our this, okay? So the line that I just drew in between here, that comes from here all the way up, we're going to use this as a starting point to go 3 inches that way, using this ruler as, you know, the what do you call it? How far you go. Okay, so 3 inches up this way. Or what did I say? 3.5 or 3? 3.5. I'm so sorry. 3.5. So I'll put my 3.5 where that line is right here, and then I'm going to go this way. Now I'm going to mark it. I'll bring the camera close right now so you can see what the hell I'm doing. Okay? Okay. Here, I'll leave my ruler where I marked it. So now you can see, what are you doing, crazy lady? Okay, so let's see. See how I had this line going down right here? That is indicated in the diagram. You can't see it, except it's like in a different place on mine because the sizing, I believe, is different. But here's where we are. So where this line is right now, I'm using that to begin, and I kept the ruler here so I could keep this whatever degree angle this is. So I started at 3 inches, I went up using this, and I marked up 3.5 inches, I'm sorry. So that's what I'm doing way up there, okay? Now that I have that taken care of, let's go back down to where the beginning of our lapel is, and that's 4.5 inches. So, or was it 4.5 inches? What did I do? I did 4 inches, and there seems to be just maybe like, so this is where I'm gonna guesstimate. You see, right, this line right here looks a little bit shorter than what this one is. So what my line right now measures, because remember I made a little bit longer, is hold on. Turn. Stay still. Oh God. So this is 11 centimeters right here. So I'm gonna make the other line right here. I'm gonna keep it at 9 centimeters, okay? Where is my thingy? Okay. So I'm gonna align this with my isosceles on the longer side. I'm gonna try and keep the point where that intersection is down here, and I'm going to swivel it. I'll do this. I'll swivel it until this little circle that I have in this triangle is aligned at the top of that little circle in here. In the triangular ruler is aligned to this line right here. Okay? Once the circle here meets, let me bring the camera so you can see that. Again, I'm eyeballing it because it doesn't give me in the diagram how many degrees it is. So this line that I have right here, see how I kept the point here and the beginning of the little oval is touching this line? I'm going to keep that as the degree, and now I'm going to mark it from here to here up 9 centimeters. And you'll see me, I'll use my tape measure right now to measure that, because I don't want to move that little isosceles ruler. I kind of want to keep it there to help me stay in place. So let me flip this back to centimeters. I'm going to keep 9. 9 is right here. Oh, and that lands exactly on the 3.5 inch mark. So that's 3.5 inches. And again, just making a little triangle. It's all about shapes, ladies and gents. So that's the split there for the collar. And now all I'm gonna do is, where's my ruler? Draw the line to complete the collar from here to here. No, don't move. There we go. Yeah. That looks about right. Okay. So, we're almost done. Oh my God. Okay. So now, the waist. Let's get back down to business, way down there, okay? Is this thing still running? All right, but at the waistline, we'll add in the dart, which is here. That is about 20 centimeters. I'm going based off this other line in here. So I'm gonna put the line on my 10 centimeter mark on this ruler, and I'm just gonna hit it right here, okay? And then the spacing of the dart says is 3 centimeters, which is about an inch and a half. Okay, so we're dealing with the dart. Three centimeters. Like an inch and a half. Let's just keep working with centimeters. So I'm gonna put 1.5 centimeters on each side, okay? Can you see that? Okay. All right, and then, well, that's your dart. You'll just want to kind of, let's see, how does that look? Well, we extend this just a little bit more, just to blend it better. Okay, so that's my dart. The only thing I'm going to do now is I need to connect this right here, my bust, to the beginning of the triangle. Where are you, brown pencil? There we go. Okay. You see that? But remember, I do want it to be nice and loose down at the bottom because this is like thigh, maybe crotch area down here, depending on how tall you are. So I'm just going to draw a line. I'm going to connect this. And then with the waistline, I'm just going to blend this back out. And that's kind of a harsh one right there, so I'm just gonna nicely blend it back out. Even if it's a little bit bigger, because remember the dart's gonna bring that in. It's gonna cinch it in. That's what I'm trying to say, cinch it in. So that's it for the front, okay? So almost an hour doing this. Obviously it took me a little bit longer because I'm changing, editing as I'm going, and trying to teach it slow so you're understanding. But this is where we're at right now. Okay, so I copied it to some muslin because I put the paper pattern up to me right now and it seemed a little off in the lapel collar area, like something didn't look right. So I copied it to muslin. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it to my mannequin. This is just one side of the jacket. Something's a little suspicious up here. So again, before you cut your actual fabric, use a scrap piece just to make sure that everything is flowing right and doesn't look wacky, because here's the time that you can fix any secondary errors before you cut your actual fabric. Because like I said, I bought some really nice luxury fleece and I do not have time to go buy more, and I do not have the money to do that. Time and money, like I don't have it right now. So let's go ahead and take it to the mannequin and see what's going on with this little area over here, okay? On just one side of the jacket muslin, it is big, but do take into account my mannequins are really small and I'm like really big. So this is kind of what it looks like. I'm gonna have to make some alterations on this. This, as you can see, was that funky part, but that gets folded down, and then the back seam will be about right here. But then when you have the other side, you sew these two together, and then it's fine. So that you can see. I measured out from, because that corner here where it splits is like this should be this part. But even though I had measured out 7 inches, it ended up being just a tad bit longer. So you can see where I marked it right there. So I'm gonna have to cut that and blend that back out with the armhole, okay? So I'm just gonna cut this off. And this is something that you'll wanna do on yourself just to double check. You can just remeasure this and then start from the inside here and measure out, and anything that's bigger, just chop it off, because that's just gonna make it way too big. And then just kind of blend that back out. Okay, so that's a little bit better. And then just remeasure what this is, and then just compensate when you make your sleeves. I had guesstimated on how much fabric I had bought, so I'm gonna do the whole jacket first, and then if I have enough to do the sleeves, then I'll do the sleeves. If I only have enough to do short sleeves, then I'll do short sleeves. But really, when you're doing something like this and you're not too sure, and like I'm only doing one side on muslin because, like I said, I'm in a hurry, so I need to get all this right first. Or if you want to do it the better way, which was to do it all in muslin first, then measure out how much actual fabric you need. That's the best bet. But you know how I do things, you guys. I'm always in a hurry. I'm always in a rush. So the center front should be somewhere about here. So look, this is what I was talking about. So I had, see this, right now it was like right here. It was just, like that was just too small for me. So what I did is from where it originally met, before I cut it, I measured out with my isosceles triangle ruler 4 inches, and I marked out each inch so you could see where I cut it. So I cut up 3 inches. My 4th inch is up here, but I think 3 is a little better. I'm gonna make that a little more straight. Okay. So I think that's better right there. Also, I think I could make this a little bit shorter. That's just me. I mean, you don't have to. Or I might just leave it. I'm not sure. But definitely you want to get all these corrections in before you even think of, cutting your fabric. So I think right here I had, what was it? 1.5 inches for the dart. So that's about right here. Just eyeballing it. If you want to transfer all your markings from the paper pattern to this, that would be better. But I was just more concerned with the whole lapel collar area. Now that I have that marked out, I'm just going to put it on really quick because this was in my measurements. So I'm going to put this about right here. See, so it's a little bit bigger. Maybe I should mark this. I don't like that one. That's still too big for me. So I'm going to take this up here, whatever's here, and just like a tailor's chalk, I'm just going to mark that right there. Okay, so that's going to get cut off more. Do a quick fitting because we don't want to waste fabric. And then this will go over here. I have my fake little dart in there from what I just did right now. So see how it covers over, but this is a lapel. So it's going to be like that. Get out. Okay. It's going to be like that. Okay. I like that. I think that's going to work. So I'm going to, one last thing, I'm going to fix this and cut it and blend it back out. And then I'll show you how to do the back, and then we can actually cut our fabric. Okay, so almost done with this crazy pattern. Basically, we just took the same pattern that we worked with. Remember, I had that median line. I cut that in half. I cut off all the lapel stuff. So I just had, if you pay attention here, you just see the white pattern that we previously had, right? And then I just taped it on top of a really big, like, patchwork piece of newspaper that I made to put it on top. I taped the white one down, and then I measured my 45 inches because remember I told you I wanted the back to be longer than the front. So I did that. I cut it out, flush leveled with this side of the pattern. Cut everything out. It's all the same, so that way everything meets. I also transferred my new cuts from the muslin pattern to the paper pattern, so now it matches that. There was, some space missing here, so with my ruler, my yardstick, I just aligned it with what's down here, and I made a straight cut, which added in a little bit here just to make it straight because it was like a little off. And then I just marked out like a little curve because this is a center back. So up here is where your collar is going to be sewn onto. This is the end of the shoulder, and then this is the armhole where your sleeve or arm comes out of. Okay, so the back is pretty self-explanatory. It's really easy. You just got to take your previous pattern and then just mark that. The back is going to be 2 pieces, so there is going to be a center seam, and I'll just use that center seam later on once I sew it together, just with a quick fitting, just to get a little curve in there for the arch of the back, just to give it a little more fit so it's not too boxy but not extremely fitted and tight either. So that's the back.